Pelotero Pickle episode 18 is an off-season hitting extravaganza. Let's talk about what you should be doing in the off-season, what hitters you should be emulating. Let's talk about competition. What does it mean? How do you become a better competitor? In the post-show, we get into who needs more love from hitting Twitter. Check it out. Pickle, episode 18. It is currently, I have no idea what day it is, December 14th. It's 11:11 here in Texas. It's 12:11 in Massachusetts. How are we doing, Chris? How are we doing, Clutch?
I'm good. Clutch is loud right now. Early on, special guest. Mom's not at home. She just took a new job, so I got both dogs duty until I leave. And Clutch decided he wanted to be on the show today, as per usual, trying to grow that Instagram following.
He's just trying to take that shine away from your new haircut. So good.
I did this myself. Flat. It's like a flat top, kind of.
Yeah, you're a self-cut guy.
Yeah.
What length do we get on the sides?
It's a 1. I usually I toy between no attachment and a 2, but I figured I'd show it to the world today.
How long have you been cutting your own hair for?
I mean, it depends. But I started.
So I want to preface by saying this isn't a pandemic thing. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I started probably in 2013, maybe, because it was really annoying when I was playing in the big leagues to have to, and also in the minor leagues, to have to go get a haircut when you have to be at the stadium at 1, right? I'm a notoriously late night guy.
So basically, from like 9 a.m. till.
No, barbershop's open at 10. Let's clarify. Number 1. Number 2, you're on the road a lot. So, like, you can't just go find a rando barber. But what ended up happening was in Toronto, we had the barber come to the field. So, Clutch thought I wanted a high five. See, high five. There he goes. But the barber would come to the field in Toronto. So then, you pay $40, $50 for a haircut because the guy traveled. So, when I was –
So, it's a show cut. So.
One of my first couple years when I got to the big leagues, I was like, I'm not spending that much money for a haircut. Thanks, Clutch. Way to let everybody know that you disapproved of me spending money for haircuts. But then when I started really getting into like the faux hawk, I got peer pressured into the faux hawk in 2015. That's a little bit harder to do on your own. So,
Well, you're on TV a lot. It's important to look the part.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just straight up shaved your head, you could get away with it. But if you're going specialty faux hawk, then you should probably get a professional in there.
Yeah, the playoff faux hawk was probably the best haircut I had in my career in terms of how I evaluated myself in 15. But other than that, early in the year, nobody's watching. You don't care. Just cut your own hair. You wear a hat anyway.
I feel like hair's a big deal. Like Yuli Gurriel.
Yeah.
It feels like he's the show hair, top step hair is a big deal now.
Yeah, I don't really know how he gets his hair to do what it does while he's wearing a hat and helmet the whole game, because then he takes it off and somehow it's still pointing straight up / curled / curved over / whatever that is.
I mean, he's putting time into it, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's effort there. And I tried to grow my hair out a few times, but mine gets this way, and I could never wear product during a game. Can you imagine sweating and having gel running into your face?
No, I think that, but they must use like water-based and matte finish stuff so it doesn't just drip all over their face. I don't know how they do it.
That would always be interesting to me when I would see a player putting product in his hair before a game, or having product from the night before and not grabbing a shower before the game to get the product out. I mean, you have to really care about your hair, and I don't think I ever got to the point where I did. So I have good hair to begin with, so I don't have to think about it.
I mean, hair's a big deal in baseball, in sports in general, I would say.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump into topics. We got off-season hitting extravaganza today. Extravaganza. That means we're going to talk about hitting in the off-season a lot.
Yeah.
Let's go. Producer Patrick's hit us with a bunch of questions here. What did a typical off-season look like for us? Bad question. We had no idea what we were doing. At least how did you progress to prepare for the season? Should your level determine your goals? Should it be flaws from the previous season? How do you know what amount of work to do? How much time to spend in the cage? How do you balance it with timing work? with time working and other other skills, strength training. A+ reading by me right there. Off-season training. So my off-season training was basically like just go to the cage when I was doing lessons, and like sometimes mixing with the kids. Sometimes like we would find a cage to go hit at. TWork, flips. I mean, we're talking 15, 20 years ago now. So we didn't have cell phones in our pockets that could record video. So there was no video taking place. No hit tracks, no sensors, no metrics. It's just get in the cage and try to feel through it.
Literally, you're defining the issue that everyone has. What do you do? And now people are paying training facilities to figure it out for them, right? When we were growing up, those were not things unless you had a coach that you hit with or somebody that just took time. What were you supposed to do? So that whole thing just got shaped pretty organically. And by saying that means we had no idea. Like literally we had no clue what we were doing. We just thought the old adage, hit till your hands bleed. Oh, if you just rep out, that means you're getting better than somebody. That was my interpretation of hard work when I was a kid. So I thought we were supposed to take 1 billion swings. And I couldn't have been more wrong. Somehow it all played itself out. I probably didn't work out anything other than hitting. I've never thrown in the off season. Don't tell anybody that. I never played catch, literally not once. The first day of spring training would be the day that I played catch. That being said, I would throw BP to some guys. So it's not like my arm wasn't doing anything or, when I was in the minor leagues.
First base. So.
Well, I mean, but I also played the outfield,
No, you didn't.
I faked it.
You were put into the outfield. I don't know if you could say you played the outfield. And then that was like mid-season anyway, so by that point, you're in shape.
Yeah, but I never understood that people's obsession with playing catch that played the position players. I just thought you play catch. Lifting, I didn't lift a weight until carry the 6 my freshman year in college. Literally did not lift a weight because my dad didn't know anything because he was a pitcher, and when he was playing, lifting was voodoo, as they like to call it. So I didn't do any strength training.
Not like you're going to get stiff. You're going to get bulked up.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And in retrospect, I think you just have to get to the point where it's enough, right? Like I got strong enough. You get man muscles, whatever. And even if you got, that nice layer of pillow around it, that protects you. The saying is you can't pull fat, right? So might as well keep a little bit of that around.
People say that aren't shredded.
Yeah.
I'm in that boat, so that's okay.
My first full season though, I lost like 20 pounds during the season. So by the end of that year, I was not fat anymore, which is cool. So I used the season for weight loss, maybe? I don't know.
So in college, I would lose 10 pounds in the season. So I'd lose 5 pounds. So I each year of college, I gained 10 pounds in the off season, then lost 5 in season. So it was like just step up, work down, step up, work down. I really had no idea what I was doing. It's unbelievable how much further along things are. I mean, if we just talk about the swing, between the 2006, 2007 season, the only thing that I kind of held on to was that I wasn't getting back. So I was getting really over my backside, stacked. I had no idea. We had no video. It was just a feel. I don't know if I had watched somebody and was like, oh, that must be what it is. I don't even know what I was trying to emulate. It was just a random feel to see if it works. Who knows? When
I was in high school, we still used the single wheel machine. So the only hitting I did in high school was single wheel machine because the double wheel was too hard to control with the yellow dimple balls in it. And yeah, I would always hit with a wooden bat because in the cage, you didn't care how far it went. So, and you try to convince yourself that you were hitting it really hard and really far because there was no data, there were no hit tracks, nothing. So everything was just guessing. But I'll tell you what, I fooled myself into believing I was going deep every time I hit a pull side laser. I was like, yeah, definitely got that. I remember I'd have sessions with my dad and I'd tell him, and he'd be like, ball's coming off your bat way harder. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And
if
really,
I could go back,
there's no way.
If I could go back, I would just want routine. I would want a routine that I could trust, that I knew I was doing decent stuff. I mean, video's available now, so there's no really going back on it. So video's available, so you can if you have checkpoints, if you have things that you can look for that are reliable, you can start there, regardless of any other technology. Pretty much everybody's walking around with 4K video in their pocket. So we got access to really high quality video that if you know what to look for, you can start working on stuff. Go ahead.
I would say the biggest thing, and if I could go back in time, understanding, because regardless of your access to tech or your access to data, the thing that I would do different is I would just put myself in way more uncomfortable situations in my training. And I think that's really hard. And I see it happen still to this day, even with all the access that we have. Players aren't putting themselves in uncomfortable situations. So yesterday, for example, 2 different guys, one that hits the ball a billion, literally one of the hardest, like probably looks up to 3 people in the world. And it's still, after 3 or 4 years, it's the same stuff. You want to feel good about yourself in the cage instead of understanding what swings that you take in the cage that are going to help you come April. And that doesn't mean that you can't have rounds where you let it eat or try to go deep or try to set PRs for exit velocity. But the majority of your swings can't be shaped in that direction. The other one, young player, super whippy, really twitchy, just a lot of good athletic stuff going on, learned how to switch hit 3 years ago, and really is trying to figure out that opposite side. And the thing that I always notice about being left-handed is it's like, or when I'd hit lefty, and even though I don't really switch hit, but the times that I would have a lot of trouble controlling the bat head through the zone, like meaning hit a ball over the opposite field infielders. And he's kind of the same problems. Like he just doesn't control the bat head because it's new to him. So what I did was I just made him uncomfortable, like as quickly as I could. So he had a really good round of BP. He's feeling good about himself. I was like, all right, let's go live real quick. And I threw 6-pitch mix, hurt his feelings a little bit. And then I said, that's supposed to happen, like the first time you even getting into live in the cage, but literally putting yourself in more situations where you're going to fail, you're going to struggle, because those end up being the most defining situations and moments you have throughout the offseason.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest mistake hitters make, is they don't put themselves in game-like situations and fail and establish game-like timing. It's like the off-season is a whole different season. It's like you're playing a different game. Like if you were going to go play T-ball or flip ball, then train like that the whole off-season. And then when you go to a game and they're flipping an underhand to you and you're hitting tanks, you're going to feel good about yourself. If the game is some guy throwing upper 80s, 90s, who knows whatever level you're at, but you've only prepared for underhand flips. You're not playing the flip league. It's not what it is. It's like overhand, mix of pitches, different zones. I just see a lot of kids trying to retool their swings with underhand flips. And
it's crazy.
TWork is awesome. I love TWork. TWork is to establish feels that you try to take to the moving ball for me. So if you have a plan, if you know what you're trying to feel, once you get that feel locked in with a non-moving ball or an underhand flip, you got to try to transfer it.
It's crazy. It's crazy when I felt like when I was young, doing anything with velocity other than putting a ball in the machine at a reasonable speed, doing anything with pitch selection, even breaking ball machine, like all we did was we would just hit overhand toss or BP. Nobody ever talked about, hey, why don't we train like it's a game? Like, why don't we do that? I thought it was against the rules to take at bats in the off season. Like
against the rules of what?
Life rules.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I think of a lot of kids that don't have a plan, that don't know what to look for. They don't.
It's 95% of the world, by the way.
Probably more than that, but they're a lot of well-intentioned people trying to help kids who are working hard, and they just don't have direction and guidance and reliable tools to get themselves better, which is why we built Pelotero, by the way. So yeah, balancing it with other skill work. I think it's just understanding your deficiencies. So I wish I knew way more about nutrition. That's my number one look back on my athletic career. If I knew more about nutrition, it would have made a huge difference on my work in the weight room. I had no idea what I was doing. But if you're weak, if you're not strong, all these things about bat speed right now, like if you get in the weight room, your bat speed is going to improve. You're going to get stronger. You're going to move the bat faster. I mean, it's just, there's a base layer of strength that most kids just don't have. So when you achieve that, you're going to be that much better of an athlete. It's going to transition to every single aspect of your game. You're going to be faster. You're going to be quicker. You're going to hit the ball harder. Everything's going to be faster and better if if you put the time in the weight room. Now, if you've checked all those boxes, then you need to maintain. You always can get faster, always can get better. But if you don't know your deficiencies, then how are you going to create a plan? How are you going to address what you need to address to get better for the next season? So most kids need to spend more time in the weight room. I mean, it's not going to hurt you. It's good for your life, like throughout your post athletic career, to be in good shape and create those routines. You got to have a plan. You got to invest the time. If you're just going to the cage and you're a wet noodle and you can't hit the ball hard, like, you're not going to have massive gains. You might improve your skill, but you're not going to have like this big jump in productivity just because you took a bunch of swings.
Yeah. Just making sure that the work has some purpose, not just work for work's sake.
Very good. Next topic, choosing hitters to emulate. First of all, emulating hitters is awesome. Do it.
All the time.
Just do it a lot. Video is accessible now. Like, have you ever seen slow-mo video of a major league hitter, like, through college?
No. That was when
the
I
first
was.
time I ever saw video of a major league hitter in slow-mo, I think was 2005, 2003 maybe. I went to a Mike Epstein talk after my sophomore year of college. I think I saw Mike Epstein talk. He was like just drawing a bunch of lines. And I asked him about a specific line. He's like, "Oh, you got to pay me for a lesson to do that." And I was like, "Oh, cool." That's
the deepest we ever got into hitting talks or having access was when Barry Bonds, I think it was the year he hit 73. I think I was a freshman. Was that the year he hit 73? Anyway, he did this whole segment on ESPN, and I remember him talking about catching the ball. He was doing a demo on ESPN. He was talking about catching the ball, and Barry was the man, right? Like, arguably the best hitter to ever live.
That was 2000.
Yeah. So, like, I would say, I mean, if I had to, like, tell people who the best hitter ever is, and I don't like to give my opinion, but that's either 1A or 1B for me. Babe Ruth is the other one. And
no love for Fred Williams?
I mean, he's probably, like, in the – again, it's just a random arbitrary list. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm going to use my bias, taste, and preferences to evaluate. I mean, anyway, so just to give you some context of how little we knew, Barry's talking about catching the ball, but, like, he never talked about his bat tip, never talked about, like, how to do a step back, never talked about why his hips got turned in, and nobody talks about that stuff. So the closest I ever got to really taking a deep dive into hitting information with anybody that was beyond a high school coach per se was that. And I'm like, oh, so I'm going to go try to catch the ball today. And here I am in batting practice going like this and trying to hit balls deep. And I'm like, how come it feels so bad or crappy? And
the coach that took that Barry Bonds thing, and then they have players literally like catch the ball.
Yeah.
Like, no bat, they just like stick their arm out and catch the ball.
And if that doesn't paint the picture for people, then I don't know what does, right? Like, Barry Bonds is literally thinking about catching the ball, and you said that to 14 people, they would understand 14 different things, and it's crazy. Yeah, my dogs are about to get loud, by the way. Yeah.
Clutch is going to clutch, Bolt's going to bolt.
Yeah, Clutch is coming over, and then Bolt's going to get jealous.
My recommendation for emulating hitters is to try different things. If you've never tried a leg kick, pick a hitter that has a leg kick. David Ortiz had a big leg kick. Josh Donaldson had a big leg kick. If you don't like a leg kick, get super spread out. Do a toe touch. Do like a Anthony Rendon or a Nelson Cruz or an Albert Pujols. If you want something in the middle, do something in the middle. Try different barrel tips. Like, you don't know what's going to be best for you. Learning your swing is a process of elimination. So try everything. And when something doesn't work, cross it off. Eliminate it. Take it away.
Try everything. It's like ice cream flavors. Try them all.
Try it.
So you figure out which ones stink.
When something doesn't work or you can't figure it out or it doesn't feel good, stop doing it and try something else. And you're always going to have like your natural swing, your natural tendency of how you move. So that's not going to like just disappear. That memory's burned in. That's deep. Getting away from that's the hard part. Now you have to figure out if you're raking already, you're probably not going to try to make swing changes. If you are, I would recommend against doing that. If you smash, don't change what you're doing. But if you're not hitting the ball the way you want to, try new things, emulate wide, narrow, close stance, open stance, high hands, low hands, elbow back, elbow forward, like flow into it as many different ways you can. Figure out what works best for you and how you can time the pitcher best.
That was the only stuff we changed was our stance, because nobody taught us how to change our swing. Yeah, we'd have like little cues, but ultimately the only swing changes, this is going to sound probably weird, the only swing changes you can make happen before the swing happens, in my opinion, right? The only things that matter in the swing, and we talk about this all the time, they happen in the gather, they happen in the load. But the only stuff we knew how to change, theoretically, like people would say, oh, like don't roll your wrists over. Okay, that's a byproduct of 14 other things, including the speed of the pitch. So when I hear people say, oh, I rolled it over, like, no, dude, the rollover happened like back here. Like you already rolled over back here. It was a timing issue. So the only thing we did, I probably had 14 different stances by the time I got out of high school. I felt like Cal Ripken. I'd be like, why does Cal Ripken change his stance? Maybe he knows a secret that has, the gold in it, and that's why he changes. But Cal was just trying to figure out which thing had knocks in it. I wrote that on Twitter. I was like, he was trying to figure out what had knocks, man. That's what people did. They just figured out how to get knocks.
The funny thing about that is his swing pattern was the exact same in every single one.
Never changed.
He changed his timing mechanisms, his styles, his feels, the whole, like this one, the slide it off his shoulder thing, all the different things that he tried, just led him to the exact same place. But he had to trick himself. It's like he was tricking himself into getting to where he needed to be, probably because he didn't know exactly what he was doing. And that's okay, because he kept trying to change stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a very scary feeling to be at that level and not know, like not have your identity locked in. Where, like, can you imagine? This dude is a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. Had no idea what he was doing. He kept trying to change.
Every year he had to try something different. Crazy. Different check. How would you create different checkpoints? So if you can do video delay for different checkpoints, huge believer in that. Start with big movements. So look at what the pelvis is doing. Look at what the shoulders are doing. Look at like head position. So like something simple. If use the line on this as a checkpoint. So if you see a hitter that loads and he goes like this, versus a hitter that loads and goes like this, like look at what the shoulders are doing. Am I sloping down? Am I leaning back? Is my head going forward as I pick up my foot, or is it going back as I pick up my foot? Things like that. Like when I pick up my front foot, what's the pelvis doing? Is it closing? Is it staying neutral? Is it opening? Big pieces early are where change is going to happen. If you're trying to do like some nuance, like, oh, this guy's doing this in the contact, like that swing's over. You can't change that. That's you're just delivering energy at that point. It's not, those are not fine adjustments. And that's where high speed video to me gets very dangerous, because you think like, oh, like look what his wrist is coming like this and it's turning into the ball. It's like, yeah, no kidding. What else is he supposed to do? Like his swing is at all the energy that he wanted to use in that swing has already been done. Like you can't even stop the swing at that point, let alone make these fine, like, oh, look, it's doing this. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's getting even more crazy. Just try stuff. Just try.
Try stuff and start with the big moves. Randy Carlson, let me pull up the exact tweet. He said, had a talk with my hitting group. Maybe I'm full of crap. Maybe I'm seeing what I want to see. But I told them, in my experience, in the end, it's the most competitive guys who make it furthest. I believe that the average kid with fighting hearts kills the talented kid in the end.
I enjoyed that tweet. I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting to me, right? I believe kind of what he's saying, if that makes any sense. At the end of the day, like, the discussion is what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Does desire to be successful come first, or does talent come first? Like, I think you have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to like the game. You have to like playing. You have to really want to be good. Like, you don't just wake up and you're like, oh, I'm good at hitting. Like, you have to learn athletic stuff and do athletic things. And then all of a sudden, I think I don't know. It's a really hard question. Obviously, you have to be a good athlete. In baseball specifically, you have to have great hand-eye coordination. There's something special about hitting that's really difficult because you're taking the bat to the ball instead of like the object in your hand is like, you don't have the football in your hand, you don't have the basketball in your hand, you don't have the ball on your foot. You have a bat that's now you're trying to control the bat head, which is down there. And I guess you'd say the same thing for golf and hockey, with variables that are much easier to control, I guess, because I think you still control the ball, right? You're the one controlling the ball. But ultimately, I think that has to be present to be great. Like, if you don't have a yearning desire to be good, then I think it gets hard to get better, right? Like, how do you get better if you just don't have that drive? And I'm not saying that a 7-year-old kid has to have drive, through the roof. Like, he just has to enjoy the game. You have to enjoy it enough to want to get to that place, I think.
Yeah. When I think about competition, I think it's important to preface it a little bit, whether we're talking about internal competition or external competition. The players that are internally motivated and compete with themselves, I think, have the biggest, most long-term opportunity. There's also an element of bravery. I was thinking about this, where, like, imagine you're like the little kid and you got to step up to the big kid, and it's like you're going to go one-on-one against the best player.
Yeah.
You're going to take them on. You're going to step up against, they got a guy on the mound throwing 100. Like, who wants to hit him? Everybody's like this. Be the guy that steps
you should have got fully out of shot.
You're going to be the guy that's like, I want this at bat. I want this moment. I want to see where I stand. And I think there's an element of bravery to that, and an element of sticking your neck out. And a lot of people have fear of that. And a lot of people are too afraid of failure and too afraid to expose themselves, to put themselves out there, and to risk that exposure is too much for them.
You have to enjoy the challenge more than you enjoy the outcome, right? And I think at young ages we point to outcomes. It's so much easier. Like, we have to think about outcomes because that's all we see and all we know, because it's hard to get past that surface level. But really, you have to start to love the challenge. I don't know when that happens. I don't know what age it's at, but you have to start to love the work. You have to start to love everything about things that are hard, and the satisfaction, because when push comes to shove, you get the most satisfaction of success when it comes from a place that was really difficult, right? Like, it's a matchup I'm not supposed to win. It's that little thing inside you that tells you, like, this is the hardest challenge I'm going to have. And not like understanding that, hey, baseball is a game built around failure innately. Like, we're supposed to fail as hitters over and over again. And ultimately, those opportunities to win in those circumstances are what makes the game great. Because if not, the moments would never get created. And that's why getting walk-off hits and hitting home runs is or it used to be special. Hitting a home run's not special anymore. Everybody does it. But those things are so cool because of all the work and challenge that went into it. I think of those moments. I look back on so many moments when I was a kid where you achieved something that was really difficult. You faced the best pitcher on another team or whatever it was. And I remember in Legion, we faced Brandon Gomes. Brandon ended up being in the big leagues before me, but we played against each other in Legion. And I remember to that point, he was the best pitcher I'd ever faced. And, his reputation spoke for itself. He was 94, 95, coming out of high school, maybe a little less, but and I remember I hit him well. I had really good at-bats against him, and I was certainly more locked in for those moments. And especially if you want to be the best player on a team, if you want to be the best guy on your team, you have to feel that way. That's what separates you, I think. And nobody's saying you don't need talent, but where does the talent get acquired from? Like, where do you go find the talent?
Yeah, it's kind of a self-fulfilling situation where if you compete, you get better. And the more you get better, the more you're going to compete. And it's just kind of like flywheel effect. Yeah. Last topic, post-show. Best hitter right now in Major League Baseball that hitting Twitter doesn't talk enough about, or hitter that gets too hyped up. And I'm going to start.
Yeah, go.
My favorite hitting stat is WOBA. lowercase w, capital OBA, weighted on-base average. I'm going to give you the formula right now and why I like it so much. So it's a weighted formula, meaning singles are not worth as much as doubles. Triples are worth more than doubles. Homers are worth more than everything. You get a weighted score for walks, which is 0.69, which is #nice according to Twitter. 0.72 for hit by pitch, 0.89 for singles, 1.27 for doubles, 1.62 for triples, 2.1 for homers. And then you add all that up, and then you divide it by at-bats plus walks minus intentional walks, because you didn't do anything for an intentional walk, plus sacrifice flies, plus hit by pitch. So it takes into account, it's like merging slugging and on-base percentage, where it's giving you more points. You're like, you get better numbers when you hit the ball more effectively, which I like.
Yeah.
So if we go by WOBA, the guy that stands out to me the most, who doesn't get enough love, we got two guys, Jose Ramirez for the Indians and Trey Turner of the Nationals. Jose Ramirez is 5th in the Major League Baseball this past year. Trey Turner 7th. Nobody talks about them. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the year, I guess. I feel like Jose Ramirez got some love 2 years ago, and he didn't get as much as he should have this year. And then I would say
breakdowns on Jose Ramirez.
My go-to guy would have been Justin Turner, but Justin Turner just won the World Series.
Yeah, he's got plenty of shine. He's a big swing change guy.
Yeah, but in a normal year when he hits 320 with 25, like if they don't win the World Series, the thing is he's been in the spotlight. They've been in the World Series. The real guy who obviously just won the MVP that we always talked about, never got enough love, was Jose Abreu. And you know who I think gets way too much love? I'm going to throw this out there. It's going to sound messed up.
You're going to say.
No, you don't. Who do you think I'm going to say?
I'm going to let you say it.
Cody Bellinger gets too much love.
I was not going there at all.
Yeah. Who do you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say Aaron Judge or Mike Trout.
No, I think Cody Bellinger gets too much love. If you go look at his MVP season, look at
Cody Bellinger's not even top 60 in WOBA.
Yeah, but look at his MVP year and go look at his first half and second half splits, and look at the second half was really not good. And I don't think he's gone wire to wire yet, man. Now, granted, his first half was as good as anybody's ever been, but just saying.
Yeah. He does get a lot of shine, and it's kind of like flavor of the month type thing, where whoever's the it guy, whoever's getting the most love from certain Twitter personalities or whatever, they're gonna kind of filter up. Who else we got on this list? Bryce Harper, 14th in WOBA. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. He went from like too much hype to not enough hype. And now
but he's a hot and cold guy, man. I just think he's so inconsistent. And he's got big moves, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I got one more, and then we can wrap up because I know you got to go. Anthony Rendon.
It never gets enough love. That guy rakes.
Dude is a hitter.
You're right. That's my go. That's my favorite, especially because he's taking a nap in the batter's box.
Well, he doesn't really drop to himself. He just kind of just goes about his business and smashes.
Yeah.
Doesn't draw the attention that other people might. And one of the best hitters in the game, and he's just kind of like, all right, see you guys later.
He looks like he's taking a nap.
Yeah. He does. All right. That's going to be a wrap.
Good thing.
You got to go because you got to go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Pelotero, 18, Pickle. We out.
Pelotero out.